Alright, hello everybody. This video is on the Destroyer, which is going to be the first mechanical boss I recommend you fight because he's generally pretty simple. The arena today is about 45 blocks into the air, and it has a nice area of platforms and then solid block that you can make kind of candy canes out of for protection from the probes he releases. I'm going to show you two ways to do this fight. One is with the Daedalus Stormbow, which is I think probably the easier, more simple way to do it. And the another way to do it is using the flying knife for melee characters. So the first setup, we have full titanium, and we're gonna do the Stormbow system first. So the accessories you want are magic quiver, worm scarf, stinger necklace, lightning boots. A star veil is kind of the only specifically hard mode one, along with wings, that you could probably bring to this fight. I mean, it's pretty early in hard mode. You don't need to bring too crazy of a loadout, but you do just, the Star Veil is probably the most helpful. Wings are just, you won't use them too much in this fight. And then I have a Shield of Cthulhu just because I like the dash. You could do just a regular shield though at this point. So we're going to get right into it. We're going to start with doing the Daedalus Stormbow first. We're going to see how that one works. So as you see, I'm just shooting through the platforms, and that's kind of all there really is with the Daedalus Stormbow. Not too much strategy involved. Oh, sorry, I forgot to add. I'm using holy arrows as the ammunition for the Daedalus Stormbow in this fight. That's what's causing the extra stars to fall when after you hit it with a bow. So that's the arrow you want to use. They're made with pixie dust and unicorn horn, and not too hard to come by. So, being 45 blocks in the air has made it so the Destroyer doesn't really come up here very often. He kind of hangs out down there. And we just kind of want to hang out in this this covered area, this solid block. Oh, there he is. Hey, buddy. The solid block area, because his lasers from himself won't hit us, and then his probes, they can get released, but they have to be like in front of us in order to actually shoot at us. So the probes aren't very effective when they can only shoot at you from one side. I'd say those are probably the most common type of damage you get in this fight is from the probes. Although you did see I just got hit by him. It did a ton of damage. That was from his head. If you touch his body, it doesn't do that much damage, but his head does do a ton of damage, which is kind of why being so high up is helpful, because his head doesn't really come around that often, or he's a pretty easy read. I mean, it takes him a while to get up here. And so yeah, this is Daedalus Stormbow. I seriously recommend this way if you're new to the game. To get Daedalus Stormbow and the flying knife that we're going to be using, you're going to have to take out hollowed chests, which, is its own thing. I'm not going to go too in-depth about that. But the item is, both are found from the hollow chest, so, it makes the grinding a little easier when you can get two items from them that are usable. Oh, jeez. And then I also have a spider. I forgot to mention, I have a spider familiar as my summon, and I use the summoning table so I can summon two spiders at once, just for a little bit of extra damage. So that was the first way. That was the Daedalus Stormbow way. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Now we're going to try using the flying knife and see if we can have the same success. This time I'm going to bring a pumpkin pie. Forgot to eat that for the first one. So this one takes a little more like actual focus, I guess. You just want to run the knife along his body. I think the probes are a little more annoying with the flying knife, but that's kind of the only real draw. Which is kind of why I like having Shield of Cthulhu also. And, I mean, the probes are really a problem like at the beginning when you spawn a lot of them by doing damage to them. I don't know if you guys are noticing, but he has a little red dot on basically every body segment, and in that is a probe. If you do enough damage to it, it releases a probe. But only once, so you can do damage to a damaged tile and probe won't spawn. So at the beginning of the fight, you're going to spawn a lot of them, not so much at the end. So the general strategy with the flying knife is I am kind of ignoring the probes, although you definitely probably shouldn't. But as you can see, they're definitely more annoying without the Daedalus Stormbow, just kind of passively taking care of them without me having to really try too hard. The attack strategy here is the same. You just want to stay, I mean, neither of these weapons require you to be in direct line of sight to actually do damage to the Destroyer, which makes it pretty easy. With the flying knife, I'm just kind of raking his body, you know, going back and forth on it, doing a lot of damage, a lot of good damage. And now I'm going to avoid his head this time. So this is where wings as opposed to fledgling wings is helpful, because now you can get some pretty serious air, but, I mean, you really don't need them. But it is hard mode, so you're going to have wings either way. I mean, might as well get them now. Got a lot more probes to deal with this time. But that's kind of the only drawback. You're still doing great damage with the flying knife. You're still hopefully gonna win. Let's see. His when it hits daytime for him, he just disappears. So you are kind of a race against time, but if you're fighting only one time, you're gonna have plenty of time. So don't just like put yourself on the line just to do a little extra damage. I mean, he's gonna be here all night. You know, you're really not too worried about it. So you can see when I cross over the platforms, his body starts shooting lasers at me. That's why you don't really want to be direct line of sight with him. I'm going to take a healing potion here just while I can. I think that's kind of a wrap. This one's yeah, very straightforward. You know, by the end of the fight, most of his segments are pretty damaged, and there's not a whole lot of probes left. So the flying knife, I mean, you could probably do a combo. Actually, you could do Daedalus Stormbow to start, get rid of all the probes, and then just start going to town with a different weapon. Or you could just keep it simple and do one weapon at a time. Either way, that's all it takes to beat the Destroyer in Master Mode. Good luck, everybody else.